All right, I think we are live. Welcome back. I missed last week. It has been quite a few weeks, as I'm sure everyone else out there has been experiencing. Thank you all for joining me, whoever joins live, as well as those who are watching this afterwards. I hope this is a really informative and timely episode of Cash Practice Training Tuesdays. Today, we're going to be talking about how to convert your current in-clinic patients or very recent in-clinic patients into telehealth patients, into your telehealth sessions, because obviously whether you have preemptively closed doors and you're no longer seeing patients in person, or even if you're still seeing patients in person, I'm sure that most clinics in that camp are still getting a ton of calls for cancellations and saying, I'm not coming in, I'm not taking the risk. So whichever side of the fence you're on that, I'm not here to say what you should be doing or making any judgments, but you got to know how to deal with cancellations, or how to get, if you're preemptively closing your doors and just going fully into telehealth, you got to know how to get people to say yes to that. Because even if you're not a really heavily manual therapy clinic, patients that are used to getting that in-person treatment and that face-to-face interaction, they're going to be understandably hesitant to, what do you mean doing our treatment online? Like, I don't get it, and there's no way you're going to have 100% conversion rate. But if you guide the conversation skillfully and correctly, then you can have a much better conversion rate of your currently lowest hanging fruit for patients, which are your current patients. Transitioning them to telehealth at a high rate is going to be kind of a make or break scenario for a lot of practices out there. We've talked a lot about in my mastermind and in my podcast recently about how to logistically get set up on a telehealth platform very quickly. It's really not that hard. Technology has made it very simple to do these days. There's some logistical hurdles and things you have to work out with your staff, but all the information on how to do that is out there. We were able to do it in like less than 24 hours. With this flip of a switch, we were calling patients and saying, look, we're not going to see you in the clinic anymore. We have a telehealth option, and let's talk to you about that now. And what I've learned has been best in those conversations for getting people to say yes who are hesitant. And I'm not going to talk about every little detail that I've been kind of coaching people through, but in this Facebook Live, I just want to make sure to convey one or two primary points. And the main thing in this scenario, and this really applies to pretty much any decision making that we're trying to compel people to have, whether it's to see us in the clinic or to transition and see us online, is that they are not making decisions based on their pain levels, their range of motion, their muscle weakness, all of these kind of PT related dysfunctions that, they might be excited if they're making progress with their range of motion or this or that. But ultimately, if that limited range of motion was not keeping them from living the life that they want to live with the mentality and not being worried about a pain or a lack of range of motion or the ability to fall or, any of those things, it's the emotionally charged limitations and the emotionally charged long-term goals of living a life in the way that they want to and having a lifestyle that they want to and the ability to do the things they want to do. And that can obviously be a million different things. But if we're not extracting that information from someone from the very beginning, from that first phone call, first interaction, and then continuing to have them focus on that throughout the plan of care, that's where we end up with a lot of drop-offs from our schedule, or in the beginning, just people not deciding to, say yes in the first place. So it's really important that we first start with that and gather that information, keep them focused on that throughout a plan of care. And then looking at this telehealth conversion conversation, it's super important that we utilize that first and foremost and continue to bring them back to those things in a skillful, non-redundant, non-salesy way, obviously, right? But when you pick up the phone, let's say someone's calling in, right? And, they're saying, look, I just, I want to come in, but I just can't take the risk. I need to cancel. And you've got your telehealth set up. And then, it's not, well, actually, we've got, this telehealth option now, and it's going to be great because, and you're talking about all the features of the telehealth program, or of the telehealth platform. And, you'll be able to meet online at the same time and blah, 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 and do this and do that. It needs to be more about, look, Mr. Jones, understand, where you're coming from. And we do have an option that you can, that we can do where you're staying at home in the safety of your own home. And I really am excited about it because not just for you, but for all the patients that have already taken us up on this, it's going to help you to maintain that progress that you've been making towards getting to, being able to roll around on the ground with your grandkids. Last time you came in and told me about that, man, I'll tell you what, it's like, that's why I do this thing. And I found, in the last 2 weeks since we've been doing these online physical therapy sessions, is that we've been able to get the same results, that people are leaving those sessions, so to speak, with the same improvement in their ability to move and, their levels of pain, and more importantly, the getting back to the things that they want to be doing, and in your case, I definitely don't want to, check back in with you in a month and hear that that progress has kind of been lost and you've been unable to be enjoying the time with your grandkids as you guys are all staying, in your homes together. So really focusing on that, what they couldn't do before that they want to get back to, and making that the centerpiece of your conversation. That's going to get them to say, okay, yes, it's one of the things that's going to get them to say, okay, yes, I'll give it a try. Because it's just such a foreign thing to so many people. It's not as foreign when it's like someone's, opening their mouth and they're looking down their throat and prescribing medications, or maybe in the psychiatry world, talking back and forth and having a therapy session in that way. But when we're talking about, the hands-on work, especially if you have a heavily manual therapy clinic, it's a really big jump for a lot of people. And I mean, it has been for a lot of our patients as well. But as a clinic that is known for its manual therapy approach in hour-long sessions, one-on-one, where 45 plus minutes are spent with our hands on the patients, we've still been able to maintain probably a good 50% of our clientele on, telehealth sessions. I mean, what's today? I'm losing track. Last Wednesday, I only see patients on Wednesdays now. I have for the last 2 years. I had 7 hours of telehealth patients. And I mean, it's going really well. And I have to say, just as a side note, for those who are like hesitant about getting into this or think, if I can't use my hands, how can I help? I've been blown away. I've been really excited. I was telling my mastermind group, of course, these topics on Tuesdays are extracted from the things I talked to my coaching group, earlier in the day. And I was telling them today that I haven't really had to think this much and get creative this much since like my first year out of PT school. And it's been really enjoyable. Instead of just throwing my hands on, at a problem, to be thinking, well, how can I, get them to use a foam roller to try and replicate this, or grab that towel and, we're going to do a self-mobilization, or, there's so many readily available, instruments and tools that people can use and we can guide them through in these sessions, along with obviously the progression of their therapeutic exercises and stretches and those kind of things, ergonomic changes. There's so much we can do. Even if you're a hardcore manual therapist, I'm telling you, this works. It's been working. We went completely telehealth 100% 2 weeks ago today, I think it was, and it's gone really well. People are getting great results still, and it can work in your practice too. So try to have an open mind about it. If anyone else is in my experience, having the same experience as me, you've been a manual therapist and you're doing telehealth and it's going well, like, make a comment, leave, not just a thumbs up, like tell your story in the comments, because we need to, I think, as a profession, really support one another to give this a try in these times. Because if you don't, I really fear for your practice. There's not a whole lot of other things, unless you have like, other kind of online fitness or wellness related revenue streams. If you can't do telehealth and you have a private practice, and you're not willing to give it a try and willing to get creative with it and go for it and just do your best to over deliver and give a great experience to your patients, then this goes on as long as it's likely to go on. It could mean the end for a practice, or a practice owner like this. And I don't want to see that. So again, anyone watching this now or in the future, tell your story in the comment, add some support to those who are kind of skeptical about doing this or having a hard time implementing. And then again, the point of this particular episode today is just about, knowing how to convert your current clients over to telehealth in a skillful way. It's not about the features of the telehealth and go on and on about I can do this or discount it or whatever. And we are offering discounts, but the discounts are really to help promote what we feel is the right thing to do right now, which is social isolation. Please stay at home, but don't stay in pain. We can help. Let's not lose that progress that we've made back towards this, XYZ thing that you've been telling me from the very beginning that you can't stand not being able to do, because it's likely that will happen. If we don't continue on in some form, you probably will backslide to some degree. And I don't want to see that happen. I know you don't either. And I'm telling you from experience in these last 2 weeks of doing this, you don't have to. Our patients that are doing this, they are very pleased. In fact, here's a testimonial. As soon as you can, that's another thing. As soon as you can, gather testimonials. If someone's ending their session with like a wow, that was cooler than I thought, I feel better, blah, blah. Like, hey, you know what? A lot of people don't expect that, just like you didn't. And there's a lot of people that really need this continued help. Would you be willing to just write a quick testimonial about your experience today that I can share? And if they do say yes, then they write one that you can share on social media, on your email, out to your email list, on your website. And if it's really good, of course, you send them the link back and say, hey, what do you think about pasting this into a Google testimony, Google review? That'd be amazing. Here's the link, and just copy paste it in. We'd really appreciate that. So I know that I kind of went outside of just that initial conversation a little bit today. That's the stuff I wanted to primarily talk about, but those are some other, kind of key factors that we've been implementing in those conversations, and also with our marketing to past clientele, current clientele that we're trying to transition, as well as getting at, completely new people searching for telehealth, which we've already started to see, probably primarily because of some PR we got on the local news channel that's worked out really well. But it's all going a lot better than I expected. We've been hustling. You got to hustle at this. You got to learn how to provide a really great service, and just get creative and be open-minded about it. If you're a hardcore manual therapist like me, don't worry, it can still work. I see some comments coming through. Steven, hey, what's up, buddy? Steven has a practice like literally, I don't know, maybe half a mile, Steven, half a mile down the road. We're good friends. And I know that they went into telehealth as well. And then we have Kyle had said, I've been doing telehealth visits on doxy.me for the past 2 weeks, and it's going great. Thank you for mentioning that, Kyle. And again, if anyone's watching this in the future, like, tell your story in the comments, give some support, especially if you were hesitant or skeptical before. I'd love for others to be able to see that, because I am now a true believer, and we've been sharing a ton of information on how to make this work as quickly as possible. Those resources, just so you know, we've got the Telehealth Quick Start Guide. You can go to drjarodcarter.com/telehealth. And it just right now, at least, it's going to a page where you can download that. I put it up a couple weeks ago. It's very short, so that you can just get into it, put it in action, go through the logistics of getting set up, getting your email set up, and being ready and able to see patients via telehealth. If you're not already able to do that, it'll help you really get there quickly. And then we've got the last two episodes, 113 and 114, that are out and available, drjarodcarter.com/113, and then /114. 113 was my interview of Rob Vining, our true fearless leader when it comes to telehealth. That was a great episode, a great interview. You get a ton of information on how it all works and how to get started as quickly as possible. And then 114 is actually a recording from my mastermind group coaching call from last week, where I was kind of putting together everything I've learned from multiple sources, not just Rob, but other sources, and then also from my staff and I, putting it into place and really having, telehealth visits within 48 hours after deciding that we needed to make this happen. And a handful of other things that I've learned along the way. I was sharing that with a mastermind group. So it's kind of like a masterclass that we decided to go ahead, and we don't normally do that, but put the whole thing out for everyone on the podcast. So drjarodcarter.com/114. What else do we have? We have a lot of resources in the mastermind right now. Lots. I mean, our email templates, our consent form templates, and intake information, some examples of how not to try to convert patients. Also, a ton more information on how to convert patients. I have a recorded audio call with one of my Platinum Mastermind members, where I was doing a coaching call with him, going back and forth as if kind of a role play, as if I was a patient trying to cancel, and then giving him coaching on exactly how to guide that, that conversation. And there's about 5 or so other bonuses and things that we've created and put into our mastermind group for everyone to access. So if you're interested in accessing any of those things right now, you can go to drjarodcarter.com/mastermind special, I think. And we're running a 3-month membership promotion just in these kind of choppiest of waters, how we can all kind of get through it, getting my guidance, real-time guidance, not just on telehealth. That's not what this is only about. It's about weathering the storm, but also coming out of it with a much stronger, more resilient systems-based business that is going to withstand future blows, because they will always happen, right? And so, yes, right now, telehealth is a big part of that, given what we're facing. But there are so many practices and businesses that really need, to rework a lot of components of their business. And that's what I want this focus of this next 3 months and my mastermind to be, specifically to get through, the roughest of times and come out even stronger. So you can check that out. Again, drjarodcarter.com/mastermind-special. I hope I'm saying that. Check the comments after this. I'll make sure we've got the right link to that. Into everything else I just mentioned. So if you appreciate this information, if you're going to utilize it in any of the conversations you have with current patients or those that are trying to cancel, please give a thumbs up or a heart. Please leave any questions you have in the comments. I'll make sure to get back to those in the coming days. And thank you guys for joining me. Sorry I missed last week. Hopefully we won't have to do that again. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next Tuesday.